coming-of-age story with a bit of a twist, in that the main character, Max, is intersex and trying desperately to keep his secret while figuring out who he is and just where he fits in the world. The book is called Golden Boy. Its author is Abigail Tartland, and she joins us in studio this morning. So good to have you with us.
Thank you.
So tell me more, Abigail, about this main character, Max, and how you formulated this story, how it came to be.
Well, I was thinking a lot about gender, and I think I just started a new relationship, and I was thinking about my role in that relationship as opposed to others. It was much more equal, and I felt much more like I wasn't playing the role of a girl anymore. And I thought that that was very unusual that I had been thinking that to begin with. And then I began to think that really my male and female friends weren't very different. It was just the way that we were treated by society and the way that we accepted being treated. And I'd seen a 2009 film called XXY, an Argentinian film about an intersex protagonist, and I thought that was a really interesting way of looking into some of those issues surrounding gender roles and gender stereotyping.
And it's so interesting, you call the book Golden Boy for a reason, because on the outside, Max is one thing, but on the inside, there's something very different going on.
Yes, on the outside he's very, very perfect, and I think there's something about intersexuality or having any kind of different LGBTQIA identity or gender identity that makes the wearer, if you will, feel very nervous and in fear about how they'll be treated. And so Max feels that way too, and he tries to be very perfect in his life. So he's the golden boy, and he treats his parents very well, he treats his brother very well, and he's adored by everybody in his school. So he's a very lovable individual. And I think hopefully when people read the book and do find out that he is intersex during the course of it, they still will love him just as much and want to continue the story with him.
And you tell this story through the eyes of 6 narrators.
Yeah.
As a writer, what kind of challenge does that present?
It actually was really fun because I got to get behind the eyes of all these different characters, and I felt that it was an issue that really, if it was told by different people, it would be an entirely different story. As it's told by Max, he kind of feels comfortable with himself, but he feels very uncomfortable with the kind of influences that are coming from outside and the pressures that are put on him by his parents. But then when you come to write from Max's parents' point of view, they've grown up in a slightly more conservative world, as left-wing and politically progressive as they are, and they expect different things from Max. So it was really interesting to be able to write in the first person in those 6 different narrators and have his doctor and his parents and his love interest and his brother all have their say about their story and who they think Max is.
Did you have to do extensive research?
Yes, I did, and I definitely wanted to get the terms right and the kind of medical.
You wanted it to be authentic.
Yes, I wanted it to be authentic, and I didn't want intersex people to be able to read it and say, well, this is wrong and this is wrong. But it was so difficult to do that research because there was such a lot of conflicting information on the internet particularly, and because research into intersexuality and the best practice methods are still being developed, it was very hard to find out what was right for Max and what exactly his condition would mean for him.
It seems like the kind of project, Abigail, where you would learn a lot about people, but also a lot about you, and your thoughts, and maybe, I don't know, any biases, anything at all, that you would really have to come to terms with a lot of things if you were going to be truthful about writing this story.
Yeah. Well, I think it's so easy once you have the characters in your mind, and to me, characters just come and start chatting to me. I don't feel like it's really, I don't feel like I should be getting the rewards for making them up. But once you have those characters, you know who they're going to hang out with, where they're going to come from, and really what they're going to do in any given situation. And I do think writing a lot of the time is just sticking to the truth of a character and what they will be.
So I should say that in your so-called real life, you're a books editor for a magazine in the UK.
Yes.
Was it difficult being on the other side, the writer of a book, and not the editor?
Well, my first book had come out just prior to me getting the job as books editor at Phoenix Magazine. So they actually published a chapter of my book, and that was how I became involved. But actually going back to it now and going back to writing again with writing the second book and editing it, it was interesting to see how I edit for the magazine and how cutthroat I am about other people's fiction. And I love to commission stories for the magazine Phoenix. So it's interesting going back to my work and thinking I could probably cut a lot more down and stop being precious about so much.
Well, wonderful to meet you, and congratulations. The book is called Golden Boy. We've been speaking with Abigail Tartland. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much.